here's how I would rank for the keyword laundromat near me in Tucson, Arizona. So I've already gone ahead and searched for it, so we're going to see the top three competitors here. So let's go ahead, and I've already selected this guy right here as our test case. So we're going to open up their website, and we're going to go here. So first things first, it's good that you have Coin Laundromat in here. Ideally, because Laundromat near me is going to be searched more often, we probably would want to create some form of that variation in here. I would also have this is more of like web design. I would have like a background here so that this is a little bit easier to read because the background's kind of hard to read. Coin Laundromat with lots of large washers and dryers. We can add more to that, but that's more conversion rate optimization. So if we go to some of our tools right here, we can see that your title tag is just home. Ideally, you'd want to build that out, include some other keywords in there like wash and fold or coin. You have coin laundromat. You could also do laundromat near me. You can include the city in there. Ideally what you're wanting to do is include a lot more context or words around the services you provide and the area you're in. Um, your and what your title tag does is that it's going to be displayed here. This is your meta description. Now, Google doesn't use this every single time. Sometimes Google will take whatever is currently on the page and it thinks is best to serve the user's query. So, setting your meta description sometimes may not always appear here. Another thing is that it's a misconception that you can only have one meta description. You can actually have two. Um, but yeah. And then another thing is while we're here is whenever you search for something like the keyword you're going after, you want to look for what's being highlighted in the searches. So it might be a little hard to see, but here I'll zoom in, is that these words are bolded. 24/7 laundromat in Phoenix, Tucson, Goodyear, and then you have all of these cities in Arizona. And then you notice how everything else isn't bolded. So what Google is telling us is that it thinks that these words are more relevant to your search query, and these are words we want to include on our page. So we see Premier Laundromat, we see the city and the state. Let's see, we see the city, and then I believe that's the area code. This is the address. So Google is showing us what it thinks is relevant to the user's query. So we're seeing the address being highlighted, the address being highlighted, address being highlighted. You see again here, here's the city. Let's go to the next page and I'll zoom out just a little bit. Let's see. So let's see. Campbell Coin Laundry, heart of Tucson, more location. So this is giving you, so let's see, a clean laundry mat. So this is kind of going to tell you some words that you should consider including on your page because Google thinks that it's relevant to the user's query. So definitely could get this title tag way more. It doesn't have to just be 60 characters. This is also a misconception. The meta description, again, you just having it would be way better. The first heading is not an H1. You have multiple H2s. Your word content, or sorry, your word count is pretty light, 137. Now, something to consider is that there's a misconception that you have to follow general premises. Ideally, you want to more configure what you're going after to the search environment of the query you're trying to target or solve. And so what I mean by that is that if you go and search for your keyword, right? You want to go on these pages and you want to see how many words are they using? What are they doing? Because Google is showing you that it thinks that these pages solve the query the best. Now, something to consider is that if you're logged in and not an incognito, you're going to get a little bit of different data. That's a little bit more advanced, not necessarily advanced, but a caveat to consider is that Google tracks the sites you most interact with, and then also based off of your logged in data history, it's going to give you different results. Um, but as a general principle, just to kind of like get a better understanding of what to do, it's okay to be logged in and search for your query. It'd be better if we did it in incognito mode. So looking at one of your competitors, you can see almost 1100 words. Words just mean on the visible page how many words are there. So it's like a word count. So it just counts every single word. We can see 24-hour laundromat, wash and fold services. Ideally, you would want more H tags. Something that, when I see by more, it's not the quantity, but the variation. A lot of times, what happens is that we will just use the same H1, H2, H3, or sorry, maybe H3, but more often than not, we'll just see a lot of people using H1s, H2s, and H3s. So if you get down to the H4s, 5s, and 6s, what that's going to also show Google is it's going to be a bit of a variation or diversity signal. Something to consider is that the number one ranking factor is the total, like the amount of the total quantity of different diversity signals you have. Now, the amount of H tag, the variations of H tags you're using, is that a big ranking factor? Not necessarily, but it's definitely something that can be very easy to implement and can help you rank just a little bit higher. Something else to consider is that there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of ranking factors, and so a way to consider it is that just each one that you are easily able to target just helps more down the line, if that makes sense. You, um, so then let's also go to your other. So let's see, 6,600 words. Interesting. So let's see, Wave Max Laundry, not your typical laundromat. So we can see these common words that are being used. This is interesting. That's a lot of, I wonder why that's happening. That's a lot of H4s and H6s. What is going on there? Is this on the page too? Is it oh, it's the reviews, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. So now we have two pages that we've gone to, and we can see that the other one is 6,700 and the first one was 11. Now let's go to this one and let's see. This one's 1100 as well. So what we can do is we can kind of like average these. So we will have 22, you'll have around like 89 total 100 words across all of these three pages. So we'll take that, we'll divide that by 3. Now this isn't a like die-hard example or a die-hard guideline that you have to go by. As we can see, the top 3 from our search is around 1,200 or 1,100 words. Um, a quick, dirty way to get like an idea of what you need to go after is to take like the top 10. We're just doing top 3 just to make this quick, and then average them to give you kind of an idea of where you need to go after in word count. And so ideally, if you do the average, you're not necessarily going to stand out. So you might want to do like 13, 14, or like 1,500 words. And you also want to consider how many times are they including certain keywords like laundry or like these variations of these words that are used commonly. What you have to think about is when you commonly speak about a laundromat, what words do you use like quite frequently when you're talking about it, and that's the content you want on your page. If that makes sense. So like you want more like clean, fold, dry, what is it, detergent, etc. So like soap, like those words that go in tandem commonly with laundromats is what you want on the page. And to determine how many of those you want to look at the current environment of the search query. What are these people doing and how can we beat them? So that's just, and then let's go here. Let's go down a little bit. Yeah, just super light content. Powered by Weebly, which isn't necessarily an issue. But yeah, so I would definitely bump this up. Yeah, I would definitely get a lot more content on these pages. It's just a little bit light. It's kind of hard to understand. It's kind of hard to understand from a robot's perspective, like what is this about? You only have 128 words. What you have to consider is that when a robot comes and crawls this, it goes line by line on your page and it tries to discover what the page is about. And another thing is that your images, your alt text, I'll zoom in here to make this a little bit easier to see. Your alt text just says picture. So what you have to think about is that Google is coming line by line and reading all of this. And it's like, okay, this is an image source. Okay, this is where the image is located. That's the name of the image. Okay, I understand this. And then the alt text just says picture. So what you have to consider is that there are, another thing to consider is that there's two different versions of or there's multiple versions of Googlebots, but in this example, all this bot is seeing is that it's named this number dash this number underscore ORIG dot JPEG and the alt just says picture. Like what is that? What does that mean? There are some Google bots that will come and actually like will look at this and like try to understand what's in the picture. But the first bots that come by are the most common ones because they're the cheapest for Google. Is going to look at this and be like, what is this about? And it has no idea. I have no idea. By reading this, I have no idea. And so those are just some other things to consider.